think that it really just changes the way we see the world around us. It shifts our understanding of what an object is or how we relate to it. We start to put microphones and temperature sensors and humidity sensors and cameras into our objects. When we think about things being connected to one another, we think about function and utility, how this can make things easier or more efficient, but it's bigger than that. These objects can start to contain their own stories. They can start to have memory. They can start to talk to us and have conversations. They don't have desires or feelings, but they can respond, they can sense, they can interact, and they can react to us. It transforms the way that we think about the things around us, and it changes the way that we can and will tell stories. Traditionally, the news has been the newspaper that you get in the morning or the website that's updated throughout the day, but anytime you're going to it, you're explicitly engaging in a news reading experience. I probably don't want to read an entire news article on my screen, but I can see short headlines and summaries go by. If I want to save something for later, I can tap my phone to the mirror, and we have videos that are about the length of time I want to brush my teeth for, so I can watch those videos as I'm getting ready. We're thinking about how does news and information start to thread its way through the experiences throughout your day and the spaces that you walk through. My name is Alexis Lloyd, and I'm the creative director for the Research and Development Lab at the New York Times. What we do here in the R&D lab is we research emerging technologies and behaviors, and we design and build prototypes that illustrate the implications of those trends on news, information, and media in the coming years.
What is the Internet of Things?
So the Internet of Things refers to objects that are connected, sensing, data-enabled, things that can talk to each other and to the world around them, to the Internet at large. There's also this really interesting world of narrative and poetic potential that I think is embedded in the Internet of Things that has yet to be fully explored. And so I like to talk more about connected objects, or use David Rose's term, enchanted objects. Tableau is a piece by John Kestner. It is continuously looking at its own Twitter feeds for photos that are posted there. It silently prints them out inside its drawer. I think what's really interesting about it is that it becomes a point of connection to something larger, so that it is not just the object itself, but it connects you to a person or to a place. As objects begin to interact more with the world around them, they begin to have subjectivity. They have a point of view. We begin to think more about how this object hears, how this object sees. And we adapt our behavior in order to have a more fruitful conversation with it. So we modulate our tone of voice, or change our phrasing, or maybe we enunciate more. That understanding changes the way that we interact with it, or changes the way that we behave in the world. And so as we start to think about this more broadly, we start to ask questions like, how does a sensor perceive a person? How does an object understand hot and cold? What does your camera see? How does a computer see the world? Robot Readable World is a piece by Timo Arnold, and it's this really beautiful and fascinating look into the robot eye, into what the machine sees, and it's kind of like looking through the eyes of an alien. It's a very, very different view of the world, even though you're seeing the same footage, you're seeing real video footage of the world, that the way that these things are being recognized is so foreign to us, and it's really lovely to be able to look through the computer's perspective. This is why it's so interesting to look at the near future, you know, from a few years behind, because I think that there's some value in that little bit of distance and that little bit of perspective where those things still seem weird to us. There's this opportunity, this time window where we can still ask questions about, is that what we want? The Story of Brad the Toaster is a design fiction piece about toasters in the near future that want to be used and that can talk to other toasters and know how much they're being used in comparison to other toasters. But it speaks to the idea that a thing has inclinations, that it might want to be used for its primary function. This is a really interesting way of using humor and satire to look at how that might evolve in kind of very real ways that seem very strange to us at the moment. If there are pieces of this that feel creepy or undesirable, then how do we design alternate scenarios that are the things that we want? These objects become active participants in the world around us. What happens when an object can contain its own history or has a memory or can talk to the environment around it? We start to relate to machines by understanding their point of view. That's why I think storytelling is interesting, is because that is inherently how we engage with these things in this playful way, in this creative way. That is inherently how we make these technologies our own, how we transform them into something that is essentially human. If in the near future I sit down at my desk and my desk knows that I'm present, how does that change the way I relate to my desk? And what if it could tell me a story? What story would I want to hear? And what story would it be inclined to tell me?